What's up, guys? Welcome back to the YouTube channel. I'm over here at the shop over at Mike's Garage. His car is now up on the lift. He's working on his. I'm gonna mess with mine a little bit today. Let me show you what we got going on. Go to turbojohnracing.com, grab yourself some merchandise, comment, like, and subscribe. So, Mike, the Mopar gods have talked again. We're about tired of the Mopars protesting the LS motor.
Keeps it up. I will buy me a Pro line.
It will have a 481X Hemi in it.
That's right.
He ain't scared.
I ain't scared.
Yeah, so he's working on his. He took his to a track the other night, and he had a shifting problem the last time out. The shifter wasn't working. So it went up and hit the rev limiter. The shifter was having an issue, so it wouldn't shift. So they fixed that, took it back to the track, and then all of a sudden it had a rev limiter, like 6,000, 6,200 RPM. They put it on the dyno. Rev limiter was still there. And then they noticed that, okay, well, the front cover is leaking. So they pulled this two-piece cover off, and so he started noticing this is all flaking. All right, guys, apparently the Mopar gods are mad at me, too. They just locked my phone up. My cell phone just completely locked up, stopped recording. But he had an oil leak, so he pulled the two-piece cover off. He ordered some new sensors. It was losing cam sync. And so when he pulled this off, though, it looks like there's a little bit of material in there. I don't know if you can see it. It looks like copper, though. So now he's fixing to pull the oil out of it and drain the oil and look and see if there's any bearing material. You know, it's one of those things. I mean, race cars are finicky. Motor's still got good oil pressure. Everything seems to be fine, but I mean, that little bit of copper looks kind of funny. So of course it's an Allen plug with the drain plug, and that thing's fighting them like crazy too. So the Mopar,
Show him the wall.
he's got a whole bunch of plugs over there, but he's got to get that one out first. Did it break loose? Nope. He's gonna have to weld a freaking thing to the pan to get the. It's never ending. So what we're gonna do on mine, I can't find any planetaries. Actually, I did find a couple sets of new stuff, but new is out of my budget right now. So we're gonna put this one back together. You know, and I thought about it. The way these long planetaries are, the ones that are kind of beat up, I'm gonna just flip them upside down. Sounds like a good plan to me. Especially like those right there that are pitted. We'll just take that one instead of running it up like that. We'll run the pitted side down. Oh, that ain't gonna work. Never mind. It's still gonna be there. It doesn't matter where it's at because it's gonna be connected into this gear. So anyway, we're gonna be running some pitted gears. I do have some new bushings, so I'm gonna stick the new bushings in it. We're gonna pack this gear set back in, and we're gonna stick this planetary back together. For the time being, especially since we don't think most of the metal come from there. We think most of the metal come from the shavings. The aluminum shavings definitely come from where I was drilling the case. The metal shavings we think come from the band, possibly. And Mike also found the tail shaft bushing was real wore out. My drive shaft was short. It was a little shorter than it was in the other car. I guess it's something to do with the 8.8 and the 9-inch. So it was not as far in the bushing. So my buddy Shannon Young, he's got another drive shaft that's 1 inch longer. So we're gonna put that drive shaft in. And then we're also going to change that rear bushing. Not gonna get the whole transmission together today. I'm gonna get the planetaries together, hang out with Mike while he's working on his, try to keep him sane. And then that'll be it today. So let's see what we can do. Well, guys, Mike's got some issues. There was glitter in the pan. So anytime you see the copper, the glitter, that's bad. So he pulled the pan off of it, and it has messed up the main bearings. Had good oil pressure though. That's what's odd is it didn't have any pressure issues. So, I mean, but it has completely spun the main bearings. So the main bearings spun in 2 of the caps. You know, I don't understand. I pulled the number 3 and number 2 off of it. I mean, it went up and banged the rev limiter real hard. So, I mean, I don't know. Maybe, I don't know. We know blowers are harder on parts as well with crank stuff, but it's just odd because it never lost oil pressure. So he's going to snatch that thing out tomorrow, send it back to the machine shop. He's got a spare motor, but it is not the same caliber of motor. So I don't know how much power it can take.
We're going to try it.
But he's going to try it anyway. Let me show you what we got on mine too. I went and found my spare 180 straight cuts. This is a couple of times we have blowed up now. So I had one that was a little bit worse. This one with the pitting. I think this is the one with the pitting. Yep. So that one's going back in my box over here. And then we found one that it is a 180. Hopefully it meshes fine. I mean, since it is a 180, it looks like the gears mesh just fine, just like the other ones. So I think it'll be fine. So we're gonna put the planetaries together real fast. I do have new washers, thrust washers, so we're gonna slap this planetary together real quick. It took me about an hour to pack these little bearings in every one of these holes. Oh my goodness, what a pain in the butt. Let's check this out too. So the thrust bearing, this is obviously the thrust bearing. Thrust bearing got killed. We pulled cap number 2 off. We were like, man, that thing looks odd. I was like, it looks like a thrust bearing, but it's not. Look at it. What happened? It beat this front bearing, this number 2 journal out so bad that the bearing is thinner, and it like overheated it so much that it started folding it around. And then the crankshaft, you know, because the crankshaft's tight tolerances, it molded it back down. And you can see that because Mike just pointed it out. I didn't even notice it. Where this thrust bearing, the oil feed is in the middle. Look at this. I mean, this thing is completely slid over and turned sideways. That is freaking insane. I have never seen a bearing do this. I mean, dude, that's crazy. That is crazy. But looks like the block in the crank is going to be okay. I mean, it's going to have to probably be turned and line honed. But the crank, I mean, it's all good stuff. So, I mean, it looks like it survived. All right, guys. Well, I guess I'm going to be looking for a set of planetaries. These things are much more noisier than they were. They spin fine, but they feel very notchy, almost like, I mean, maybe that gear that I changed out, maybe I thought it was a mismatch set in here to start with, but it sounds like, or feels like, something is not meshing right and is clicking, and all these are fairly loose. I mean, maybe I got these too tight. I put it back together the way they were with the same amount of shims, just with new bushings. And it doesn't have a ton of play. So, okay, we're looking for planetaries again. So, yeah, maybe down for a minute. All right, guys, well, that's going to wrap it up. Mike's going to pull the motor out of his tomorrow. And then he's got a spare motor, so he's going to put the spare motor in it. Stay blower, but he's gonna have to de-pulley it, or maybe change blowers and put the other pulley back on it to slow it down some, so it don't make as much power. Nitrous is potentially a possibility as well. He's got tons of nitrous stuff, so he don't know. The other motor's going in there, the spare motor, but it's a stock block. Has it got factory crank too, or is it aftermarket crank?
No, stock crank.
Stock.
Gen 4 crank, Gen 4 rod.
So stock block, stock rods, good pistons, good cam.
Blocks, 3/4 field, all the way up, halfway up the water.
Which,
jacket.
I mean, people have made good power with that. So your rod will be your limiting factor. So, but I mean, you still run 540s, 550s until that motor is repaired.
They're the LS3 heads that have been ported, polished, all the goodies done to it. Titanium head bolts.
It's never ending, is
Never
it?
ending.
Never ending. All right, guys. All right, guys, so I'm back over here at Mike's shop, and he wasn't kidding. I thought he was kind of joking when he said he was going to put the other motor in it, but he is not kidding. He's almost done. This is his spare motor. It is in, bolting the Pro Charger on it now, and he'll have this thing fired up soon. can't hear nothing.
I might have hit the button.
That should have been 28 right there. So we had it set on base 30. Can't breathe.